Leading our bulletin this hour, the NPA says it will not be appealing the sentence handed down to the Enyobeni Tavern owners, that's Siyakhangela Ndevu and his wife Vuyokazi. The East London Regional Court has sentenced the couple to a fine of 5,000 rand or 100 days in prison. The couple were found guilty of selling or supplying liquor to persons under the age of 18 years. The tavern, based at Scenery Park in East London, made headlines back in 2022 after 21 young people mysteriously died inside the tavern. A formal inquest into the deaths of these young people is yet to commence at the Mdantsane Regional Court.
We respect and accept the decision of the court with disappointment, of course, because we had submitted in court that it should sentence the two to the harshest sentence provided by the Act, which is 5 years imprisonment. But of course, the court decided otherwise, because it was our submission that the couple is not remorseful at all. On top of that, they have a total disregard of the law, and they've shown disdain even in court. But the court decision was, and it noted that this matter is not directly related to the deaths of the 21 children. It was.
Would you be appealing this one?
We won't be appealing this one, but we are pinning our hopes on the inquest that is going to commence in the Mdantsane Magistrate Court next week.
All right, let's get reaction now. We're joined by Maurice Smithers. He's an alcohol harm reduction activist. Maurice, good afternoon, and thank you very much for your time.
Afternoon. Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure to have you with us. So the court has imposed a 5,000 rand or 100 days imprisonment, and the couple, I believe, have opted to pay the fine. Your views on just the judgment?
Well, I think that generally speaking, and within the alcohol harm reduction community, we think this is incredibly poor response actually to what is a very, very serious incident. The magistrate said that he wanted to be balanced and to be fair in his judgment, but we don't see how this is fair to the parents, to the community in which the children were, the community the children came from. Mm-hmm. The accused now will pay a 10,000 rand fine between the two of them, and they will get on with their lives. Hopefully not selling alcohol. The magistrate said that he thought they probably wouldn't be able to sell alcohol again. But, you know, it's very unbalanced and very unfair as far as we're concerned.
Mm-hmm. But when listening to the magistrate, he was at pains to explain that the Ndevu case must not be conflated with the matter around the deaths of the teens, and that based on that, he couldn't deviate from the minimum sentence, and stressed that he had to be fair in this respect.
Well, the NPA had a different view, as was said in the clip earlier on, because they were asking for a 5-year sentence for both of them. So obviously they believed that that was possible in terms of the law. But, you know, I don't know how is it possible for the magistrate to say that they can't take into account the death of the kids? Apparently, during the hearing, he actually said if the accused had not allowed the children into the tavern, they would not have been there, and therefore they would not have died. So I don't see, you know, it's impossible. I don't see how you can actually disconnect the two. It's completely different to a situation where perhaps an inspector went into a tavern, saw an underage person there being sold alcohol, and issued a fine, you know, for that simple infringement. In this instance, 21 people died as a direct consequence of the fact that these kids were allowed in there, and they were found guilty of allowing the kids in there. That's what this trial did. It said that they allowed the kids, that the two accused were guilty of allowing the kids to be in there. So therefore, they must be accountable for the deaths. I mean, it's not, and I agree, there's an inquest, and the inquest is going to look further into it.
Into the deaths in particular. But the magistrate stated that they have been found guilty for selling liquor or supplying liquor to underage children. And when listening again to that
Correct.
judgment, it was emphasized that they as a court must confine themselves to the facts. And the fact is they could only determine that one child in particular was sold alcohol. So in that instance, that it forced them to confine themselves to the Liquor Act and the fact that they could only determine that one child in particular was sold alcohol. So what does that mean then?
Yeah. Well, it means that the law sometimes is too particular, I suppose, and perhaps we're going to have to wait for the inquest. But I do think that the fact that the magistrate himself said that if the children had not been in there, they would not have been, they would not have died. I think that's a very important point. And I think also, I mean, how do you separate out the fact that that there were more than 21 kids in there? We know that because not all the kids who were in there died. It may well be that in strict legal terms, they could only prove that one child was sold alcohol. But secondly, but anyway, they shouldn't have been in there. Even if, and this is obviously, clearly not correct, even if the other children, the 21 and all the others who escaped with their lives had not been sold alcohol, they were still not supposed to be in there. Mm-hmm. So I don't see how the magistrate could use such a narrow argument. And I'm disappointed actually that the NPA has said that they're not willing to appeal. Because I know that the families are very upset and may themselves even be approaching the prosecutors to say that they would like an appeal to be undertaken. But I guess we'll have to see how that plays itself out.
Well, certainly the parents are quite heartbroken because days before they had stated that they were hoping for a harsher sentence. But when even we look back at just the conviction itself, the magistrate did state there that it was not enough to say that the Ndevus had given strict instructions to the employees. The magistrate also stated that it was not enough that they were not there themselves. They had a responsibility to ensure that young people were not sold alcohol. So just in the conviction, it seemed that that was straightforward, that the magistrate there was quite forceful and stated that they were supposed to take responsibility. So you believe, nevertheless, that is not enough. Beyond the conviction, the sentence should have given expression to the feelings of these parents who lost 21 children.
Absolutely. And it should have sent a very powerful message to society and to other liquor traders where we know, we know that the problem of selling to underage people is rife across the country. This should have sent a very, very strong signal to the country that this is not acceptable. The magistrate also should have perhaps used his powers or said at least that he would strongly recommend that the accused don't get a liquor license ever again. The most he was prepared to say was, I think it's unlikely they will get a license again. But this is simply not going to send a strong enough message to society as a whole that government is taking this kind of issue seriously. And that message should be going to liquor traders, it should be going to the authorities, it should be going to parents, it should be going to children, it should be going to everyone in society to say that it's unacceptable for society as a whole to allow the situation to continue. And had there been a harsher sentence, a sentence that, one alcohol expert that I spoke to earlier on today said that he felt that they should have been charged 20,000 Rand. They should have actually served plus the 100 days in prison, as well as community service. Mm-hmm. And he said he thinks that would have been suitable for even a first offender, given the fact that this was such a serious case and that 21 young people had died. Mm. So yeah, I don't think it's sending a strong enough message, but I think that's the challenge we have at the moment, is that society as a whole, I don't think, is taking alcohol harm reduction very, very seriously. Government isn't doing that, and society in general, the authorities are not doing it. Law enforcement is very poor around liquor outlets across the country. And so I'm afraid that the likelihood of another Enyobeni is quite high.